Alabama 96, Kentucky 83. Kentucky started well. They were up 20-9. They were making shots early on. You know, the Andrew Carr comes out. Kobe Bryant was sizzling from three. And then, man, there goes that man again, Rob. Mark Sears had 30 in this game. Honestly, if you had told me that this is how it was going to go before the game, I would have said, yeah, that sounds about right. And
well, thought you said 20 last night. I said double figures when we talked about this game.
You were correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was
you were right. It was a 13-point game, somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Alabama beating Kentucky?
So I thought Alabama, when they decided to turn up their defense and they finally dialed it up about midway through the first half, they immediately went on a 24-4 run. And I thought there was a really interesting quote from Nate Oates after the game. He was asked about some of the really quick lineup changes that they had and guys coming in and playing like 2 or 3 possessions and getting yanked right back out. And he said that there would be zero tolerance for a lack of effort, ignoring the scouting report, and for turnovers. And the quote was, "That's the way that it is going to be moving forward." So I think what happened was he kind of got sick of seeing the mistakes that popped up against Auburn. And frankly, seeing the mistakes that were all over the place in the loss at Missouri, because that was, frankly, an embarrassing. You can't give up 110 points to Missouri if you're Alabama and you want to be a team that can win a national championship. And
so you think giving up 83 points to a Kentucky team playing without a point guard, is that good defense for Alabama? Or
I thought the last 30 minutes
were good.
Was really, really good defense. Like
kind of
Kentucky,
speaks to how inconsistent they are defensively.
Yeah, it is. But you also got to remember, there's a lot like
not in a bad way.
With Alabama, you have to put everything into context because they're always going to play more possession. They're just going to be more possessions.
They score 85 plus points a game.
Yeah, I was so in earlier this season, and now I really question whether they're going to be a return Final Four team. And I had a lot of confidence they were going to get there. You know, by the end of the year, they were going to hit their ceiling. I don't know. I just don't see it. I mean, they're still without Darren Reed. He's out again. Their depth and talent.
I think they need him. They need him because
big, strong, physical defender. He can score. He does the little things.
What happened? It's a weird situation where they have a lack of physicality and toughness at times. And when they play Cliff Amori or Mohamed Diabate, they get that physicality and that toughness, but then they lack a little bit of shooting on the offensive end of the floor. And Darian Reed's a guy that can kind of provide both of those things. Now, I think the better answer is Grant Nelson's got to be tougher than he's been. Like, he got his ass kicked by Mark Mitchell the other night. Ass kicked. And then today, he was one of the guys that, I mean, what do you have, 5 points tonight? He didn't play all that many minutes.
Nope.
So, I think
so hard when, like,
and LeBaron Fallon. And hey, you talk about has come down to earth.
Yeah, you talk about Andrew Carr, right? And how high he was at the start of the game. You know who was guarding him at the start of the game? Grant Nelson.
I will say this, and I don't disagree with you at all. But I think this has been Nate's frustration with this group at times. He's frustrated by their lack of focus in the game.
And leadership.
And accountability. Yes. So they do things that would indicate that. And maybe this doesn't make it right, but maybe because you went to a Final Four last year, it's easier in the regular season to twiddle around a little bit. We'll show up to the NCAA tournament.
I guess, but how many players played big roles? Mark Sears and Grant Nelson. That was really it, you know. And Sears should be the leader. He should be the leader, and he really hasn't been.
But he's not a guy that's wired.
You don't have to be a vocal leader.
I agree with you. But I also think that that's something that we probably could have seen coming with Sears. But I disagree with that. Like, I think that Alabama's going to be fine. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to be a Final Four. I think that they are probably – I would have them outside of the top 4 right now. To me, the top 4 in America is Duke, Auburn, Houston, and Florida. And I would probably go in that order, maybe flip-flop Houston and Florida, but I think it's those 4. And then Alabama, to me, is right there with, like, Tennessee as the best of the rest.
I put Florida ahead of Houston because they beat Auburn at Auburn.
Me too. Mm-hmm. I would too.
All right,
I think Florida's more well-rounded.
Let's